The current generation A4 sold to us, codenamed the B8, has been around for 8 years. Now, pulling 8 years in this mid-size luxury sedan segment is a difficult task, but the A4 with its fair share of facelifts and equipment upgrades has soldiered on to lay the path for this, the B9 or the all-new A4. All new doesn't look like it, does it?
Its silhouette is similar to the current model thanks to the same height. But park the two next to each other and you will realize that the new car is marginally longer and wider. The sculpting on the bodywork is edgier now for a more sharper design theme that is in line with the newer Audis. The headlamps look great with their chisel cuts and double row of LEDs. They can also be specced with the matrix lamps. The single-piece grille isn't as imposing as in some of the larger Audis, but attracts plenty of attention and is wider than its counterpart on the outgoing model. A notable design highlight is the deep shoulder line that meets the front of the car to become the shut line for the bonnet, much like the new Superb. The bonnet itself now gets 4 prominent creases instead of the previous 2, and that gives the fascia a more aggressive, frowning look. The taillights are sleeker like the ones on the A3, but I would have preferred more design distinction for this all-important sedan. The wheel arches are a bit more flared, but the alloys are the real highlight for the new designs that they have on offer. The mirrors have been redesigned too. They are now sleeker and have contours around the stock to reduce wind noise at high speeds. Step inside and you could either be astonished with the cabin or be a tad disappointed. The latter won't be a common reaction, but it could be a justified one.
I've always said that design is a personal preference. I think I prefer the more classy approach of the C-Class. This one looks a lot sportier. It is the typical Audi design, straightish lines, lot of switches, but it's an evolution of the typical Audi designs again. Now this being the S-Line trim, it also gets additional stuff like the Alcantara that you see on the door trim or even the leather on the seats. The ones that will come to India could be spec'd differently, but we'll talk about it later when it actually does come to India. As far as the cabin is concerned, quality of materials, again, top-notch as always. The fit and finish is excellent. And I think overall, I like the cabin, and it also gets the TFT instrumentation, which will be one of its unique selling points.
For those who don't know, the instrumentation uses a digital display panel instead of analog clocks. It is therefore customizable to show a multitude of information, including detailed satellite navigation. It is complemented further by a head-up display for quick info on speed and turn-by-turn navigation instructions.
With the A3 now having the responsibility of luring new customers to the brand, the A4 can finally concentrate on improving space in the back seat as well for the chauffeur-driven customers. And it's worked. The seat is completely set back, not even to my driving preference, and you have enough knee room. The scoops in the seats, they definitely help. Headroom is quite good. The seats are very nice and accommodating. The under-thigh support is quite good. Shoulder room is quite good. 2 adults and a kid, I think, will fit very comfortably, because 3 adults not really. You have this tunnel console extending all the way back. The windows are nice and roomy, so you don't get that claustrophobic feeling back in here. So I think overall, the cabin is a big improvement. The variant of the A4 that I'm driving right now is the 3-litre with the quattro all-wheel drive system. Now this engine puts out about 272 PS of power and 600 Newton meters of torque. It's mated to a torque converter with an 8-speed Tiptronic function. Now, I'm not sure if this engine makes any sort of a business sense for Audi India, but it looks like they just might bring it to India to make it a better portfolio for the A4 line, to make it like a halo car for the A4 line.
The shifts are smooth and quick enough for highway and city use. Around the twisties, you are better off with the paddle shifters though. Roll-on acceleration is quite impressive too, and Audi claims a 0 to 100 km/h sprint time of 5.3 seconds. If given a road like the Autobahn, it can quickly reach its electronically restricted top back of 250 km/h. But at those speeds, our car felt a little floaty despite the 4-wheel torque vectoring. At speeds close to 200 km/h, the A4 felt more grounded. Audi claims that the car can achieve a fuel economy of over 20 km to a litre and an overall CO2 emissions rating of 129 grams per kilometre. The meaty torque spread is the key here, as the car can happily cruise at triple-digit speeds with effortless engine speeds.
One of the frequent complaints that we've had with the A4 was the steering setup. It was nice and light and convenient, but a little too dead at center feeling, and there's not really too much feedback from it if you compare it to something like a 3 Series. But the new one is a big improvement. It's still not as heavy as a 3 Series, which is a good thing. It still remains quite convenient in the city environment. Like I said, a big improvement over the outgoing car.
The bread and butter variants for the A4 will be a 2-litre TDI diesel and a likely new 2-litre TFSI petrol, which will replace the 1.8. The inline 4-cylinder diesel motor now puts out 190 PS of power and 400 Newton meters of torque. The new petrol is likely to produce about 190 PS of power as well and 320 Newton meters of torque. Both the engines chuck the continuously variable transmission or CVT and get a new age S-tronic dual clutch transmission. Unfortunately, we couldn't get our hands on either of the 2-litre mills, but we will give you a more detailed view on those with a road test once the India spec testers reach us.
Since this is an all-new A4, expectedly it comes with a lot of new safety features and assistance systems. One of the features that I really like is the predictive adaptive cruise control system.
Irrespective of what speed you set the cruise control to, it has the ability to read speed limit signs, judge the speed of the car in front of you, and even use GPS data to regulate the speed for upcoming curves or inclines. In the event of a crawling traffic jam, it can also brake on its own and resume rolling when the vehicle in front of you moves.
Now, most of these assistance systems are radar based, and you will not find them on many cars in India because they conflict with the radar frequencies that the military uses. But now we have been told that the manufacturers and the military seem to have reached a middle ground where new age systems could actually make their way to India. Just remains to be seen when.
The new A4 arrives into India earlier than expected because Audi India says that the demand for the current model has suddenly surged and therefore they might run out of stock soon. One of the reasons that has triggered the surge is the better level of standard equipment that the car offers over its rivals. The new A4 is looking at that aspect quite closely too.
The appeal of the A4 has been its sensible and mature approach, and the new one builds upon that. Now, like I mentioned in the beginning of this video, it still doesn't appear like an entire generation change because they have decided to stick to the design philosophy. But then, under the skin, everything has changed, and for the better.